Do antidepressants cause more harm than good? Hello, this is Dr. G for naturalfoodsdiet.org. And yes, I'm putting down drugs again. I know I must sound like a broken record. Now, for you youngsters out there, have your grandparent explain exactly what that term means. But I'm like a broken record in my outspoken criticism of the antidepressant medications. Now, the first issue is their effectiveness or lack of it. Even when we consider the bias of the studies that are funded by the drug companies, they still barely outperform placebo in the treatment of depression. Now, most of these drugs increase serotonin, and serotonin is a neurotransmitter. Serotonin levels affect mood, but there are many other adaptive processes that are regulated by serotonin, including emotions, development, neuronal growth and death, platelet activation and the clotting process, attention, electrolyte balance, and even reproduction. Now, a recent review examined the research as it relates to all of these other functions, and the conclusion was it determined that SSRI drugs have a negative side effect on all of these factors. So it appears antidepressants also stimulate apoptosis in neuronal cells. Now, apoptosis is a fancy word that describes programmed cell death. But even if they don't kill off your brain cells, this class of drugs might actually be a good way to kill off grandma. You know, that person that you asked about the broken record. Now, the authors reviewed 3 recent studies showing that elderly antidepressant users are more likely to die than non-users, even after controlling for other variables. The higher death rates indicate that the overall effect of these drugs on the body is more harmful than beneficial. Now, what are the other risks? Well, there's developmental problems in infants, problems with sexual stimulation and function, and sperm development in adults, digestive problems like diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, and bloating. There's abnormal bleeding and increase in strokes in the elderly. There's a higher risk of suicidal thoughts and the possible risk of increased osteoporosis and breast cancer. Now, in previous researchers, these same authors of this review that I'm talking about had questioned the effectiveness of antidepressants even for their prescribed function to treat depression. And what they found is that patients on these drugs are more likely to suffer a relapse after going off the medications. It seemed as though their brains have a problem of reestablishing equilibrium. Now, I'm sure the drug companies actually like this aspect of the drugs. They're going to say, why not just stay on them? So the final conclusion of this study that I'm talking about, and I quote, "Our review supports the conclusion that antidepressants generally do more harm than good by disrupting a number of adaptive processes that are regulated by serotonin." Hey, don't kill me. I'm just the messenger. Now, I know the latest CDC data tells me that 11% of Americans are now taking antidepressants. And if you're a woman from age 40 to 59, it's an incredible 20% of the population. So I know a lot of you out there are on these drugs. Some of you are even my patients. My patients that saw commercials on TV and demanded them, or they got them from their psychiatrist. Now, the only drugs out there that are prescribed more are the cholesterol medications. This is another drug class that's almost totally unneeded. Now, sadly, Big Pharma has us right where they want us, strung out on useless drugs. Now, if you want the references for what I've been talking about here, go to naturalfoodsdiet.org blog, and there's also a transcript of this. This is Dr. G. Thanks for watching.